Before the Capitol building in San Juan, Puerto Rico, troops march in an inaugural day parade. In the reviewing stand is the 167th governor of this United States territory, Jesus T. Pinero. Appointed by President Truman, he is the first native of Puerto Rico to become the island's chief executive. Governor Pinero waves from the stand. His appointment marks another significant step forward for this West Indies island, today entering a new era in its eventful history. For Puerto Rico lies at the crossroads of the Caribbean, 1,000 miles off the coast of America. Spain ruled here for 400 years and left her language and many of her people. Ponce de Leon governed these 3,000 square miles of virgin jungle and fertile coastal land. Here, the northeast trade wind still is rich with rain. When the Americans came, they developed sugar. On it today depends the very existence of one in every 5 people. But the insular government has an ambitious program for the people, and this planning board is the agency coordinating the program. Puerto Rico has a dense population, about 600 people to the square mile, so the average income is low. This has meant poor, unsanitary housing and the presence of diseases primarily caused by general poverty. The planning board tackled this major problem. New modern housing has already begun to arise. Estimating the income of the island in advance, the planning board has presented a 6-year financial plan to the government. There is no overlapping and waste, and funds go where the people need them most. For the people themselves are the main consideration. The people, their livelihood, and their welfare. This land was acquired by the government and deeded to the people. They moved their own simple houses here. Now they are supplied with electricity and pure water. One part of the general overall plan for improving the health and happiness of Puerto Rico's citizens. Another part of the plan is the building of hospitals. The population has more than doubled since the American acquisition of the island in 1898, partly because the death rate has been cut to almost half of what it was then. Planning remains in the form of words unless it is carried out. It is the function of men like these in the Committee of Design to give shape to words, to translate ideas into realities. Here, for instance, is housing being built with private funds. But instead of disorganized arrangement, these buildings are placed in a layout according to an approved plan. It is a plan that takes into consideration the community as a whole, the relation of streets and highways and schools to living. Based on accurate knowledge of conditions and trends, the board's goal is the raising of the standard of living on the island as a whole. Such thinking means the formulation of plans. Plans not only for housing and health, but for all aspects of the general welfare of the people. Plans for new schools, new modern safe highways, and water supply and electrification. All these plans are only recommendations to the government, and it is the members of the Senate, the elected representatives of the people, who have endorsed every one of them. For example, once all bottles for Puerto Rico's enormous export trade in rum were imported. But the right kind of sand is plentiful on the island, and the development company, a government agency, built a glass factory. The development company's function is twofold: to initiate and manage industries, and to assist private enterprises to establish and expand. The utilization of natural resources and the gainful employment of labor is a contribution to the welfare of all. This government factory manufactures the paper from which boxes for the shipping of rum are made. and this paper is produced from a waste product of the sugar mills. So here we have another example of the use of readily available resources. The operation of a cement factory is another government enterprise. It pointed the way for private capital to build one of its own. Private enterprise is also constructing a leather factory. This new industry is particularly suited to the manual dexterity for which Puerto Ricans are noted. Out of coconuts and out of the plentiful sugar, private industry is employing many people in the making of sweets and candies. With an abundance of pasture land available, the government is seeking to improve the livestock industry of thoroughbred cattle. Planning to go out into the field to get their knowledge at first hand. It is a beginning, and only a beginning, but it holds great promise for the island. The work of these planners is already paying dividends in new dams, irrigation projects, highways, playgrounds, factories, schools, in the development of new natural resources and the improvement of old ones. The Planning Board's recommendations look not only into the past and the present, but into the future which holds the destiny of all of Puerto Rico's people. At colleges large and small across America, basketball is an increasingly popular sport. Requiring speed, stamina, and split-second timing, it is favored by schools which aim to build the body as well as the mind. Star players like these at Rhode Island State College are required to make the same grades as anyone else in their class. Rhode Island's Ernie Calverley, who became the nation's leading scorer, is a good student as well as a basketball champion. Calverley takes it easy with the boys in his fraternity house, for the ability to relax is an accomplishment necessary to peak athletic skill. Meanwhile, hundreds of miles away in Salt Lake City, another squad dons uniforms for a practice session. Despite its terrific speed, basketball today is a carefully charted science. Each player takes part in constant drills. Some drills, like this stop-and-go maneuver, strengthen leg muscles. Others sharpen reflexes and develop alertness in ball handling. The reward for days of practice is an appearance at New York's Madison Square Garden. Here, thousands of spectators gather to see some of the country's best teams in fast court action. On this occasion, Utah, in white, meets St. John's University of Brooklyn, New York. Skillfully executing complicated plays, the two five-man teams struggle to send the ball through the basket. Basketball is America's second most popular sport, exceeded only by softball in the number of participants and spectators it attracts. Requiring a comparatively small field and simple equipment, basketball is played by men and women of all age groups. Invented by a YMCA instructor in Springfield, Massachusetts, it has spread to many parts of the world. The future looks bright for this clean, healthful sport.